Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to stand and we want you to make some noise.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing here at Knoxville.
Only the best go 3 abreast.
It is show time at Williams Grove Speedway.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here at Eldora Speedway, it's showtime!
You got them for a rep. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
It's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy, because, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Set to do battle for 30 laps. The green flag is waving.
Hello again. It is Wing Nation weekend here. We love talking sprint car racing, and we are going to set you up for the big race weekend. And we can't wait to talk to Barry Jackson coming up on the show as well. So we're glad you joined us. Erin, Evernham, and Steve Post here in the Motor Racing Network studios. And we are setting up for another big weekend along the way. And always fun to talk with Barry Jackson.
It is. He's one of my favorites. I've known him for a long time, but you can talk to him about the mechanics of the car. You can talk about the schedule, the business. He's just a wealth of knowledge and a great guy.
And we're also going to talk about something far more important than that with him, too.
Yes.
Being grandpa to a racer.
Yeah,
yes.
Quarter midget racing.
Quarter midget racer,
Yep.
yeah. So look forward, as always, to talk with Barry. World of Outlaws, oh my gosh, fingers crossed. California, Ohio's starting to get up and running. And one of the things that really starts to get going now is a lot of the ASCS regional races are going on too as well. So USCS Sprint Car Challenge Tour out in California, man, what they're doing with that is phenomenal as well.
That's grown.
So lots of good stuff happening. Yeah, Elk Grove Ford. Man, they've just made that thing. They have just absolutely exploded that thing out there. So great stuff. So it is going to be a great show. We're going to talk to Barry Jackson in just a little bit, but we do want to look back to something spectacular last weekend, okay? It was the Speed Palace. It was Saturday night. You could watch it on Speed Shift TV. Of course, this is what it sounded like when track announcer Earl Hoon had the call. Remember, Anthony Macri is the race leader. Dylan Cisney is second. This is what it sounded like. It's the Dryden Diesel All Death-Defying Move of the Week.
And now for the Dryden Death-Defying Move of the Week, where one driver simply amazes us with their on-track moves.
Macri follows the lap car. Here comes Cisney. Cisney tries to try the top. Side by side. Checker flag is out. Dylan Cisney will win at Port Royal.
That death-defying move was brought to you by Dryden Diesel All Death, the official death of the World of Outlaws and wheelmen everywhere. Visit Dryden.com for more information.
An American tradition. Since 1889, Red Brand Fence has provided American farmers, ranchers, and homes with the highest quality fencing solutions built on tradition. Whatever your fencing needs, field, stockade, livestock, garden, electric, or specialty fencing applications, Red Brand has the fencing for your specific needs. Go to redbrand.com to find your fencing, local dealers, support, and guides. Made in the USA, Red Brand Fencing. That's redbrand.com for more information.
Instilled with Dryden's heritage of performance, Dryden Diesel All Def is built for the demands of today's diesel engines. Dryden Diesel All Def is perfect for owners and operators of on-road and off-road diesel trucks and cars that now require diesel exhaust fluid. Dryden, official motor oil and official diesel exhaust fluid of the World of Outlaws and wheelmen everywhere. And as always, American-owned and operated. Visit Dryden.com for more information.
Sage Fruit is a high-quality grower, packer, and shipper of Washington State apples, pears, and cherries. Sage Fruit believes in sprint car racing as a proud sponsor of sprint cars for the past 16 years and a partner of Wing Nation for the past 4 years. We love sprint car racing, and we're there for our sprint car fans. Sage Fruit works hard to deliver an exceptional eating experience. We value our relationship with sprint car fans and appreciate your continued support of Sage Fruit. Ask for Sage Fruit at your local grocer.
Now back to the Wing Nation Weekend Podcast.
We are glad you joined us. It is Wing Nation Weekend, and joining us on the guest line, he is the crew chief, team manager, all-around chief cook and bottle washer, I guess, I believe, for the CJB Racing team. Shane Stewart, the new driver of that team this year. Barry Jackson joins us. Hello, Barry. Welcome into Wing Nation.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. How are you doing today?
We are doing well. How are you doing? I know you got a little time in Pennsylvania this past weekend with this California weather messing around on us. How are you doing? How's everything with CJB Racing?
Well, everything's pretty good. Got a lot going on. doesn't seem like we'd have much going on, as much rain as we've been getting and everything, but you're just kind of always preparing for the season. That's, back here right now, working on some cars down the road, welding up hopefully will be my final chassis for this year's builds and so forth, but kind of always have a lot going on just to be prepared for the long haul.
Barry, talk about the season so far. You and Shane started off very strong, but then you head out to the West Coast, you get rainouts, you got time off. Talk about just, from Florida on into California.
I don't think it's not like we're not where we want to be for sure. It's kind of just some different stuff right now. It's really not like he and I are definitely on the same page, and we had some bad luck there in our last race at Stockton. He had straight away almost a half a lap lead when he had that last caution and got had a tire going down. We ran over some debris or something, but cut a tire. So we've kind of had some bad luck and some stupid decisions on my part, I think, like for allowing us to being in a position to run out of fuel at Las Vegas, even though quite a few other cars did, but then you have cars that didn't, and that's just kind of something that we're kind of have under the microscope right now too. The engines keep progressing, and we seem to be burning more fuel than ever. So we're pretty much just going to switch everything. We used to only have to run a bigger tank at 2-3 racetracks a year. And, Kings Royal, it's 40 laps, and Williams Grove National Open because it's 40 laps, and the air is pretty good at that time of year. But now we were even close to being out of fuel at Stockton. So we're kind of going through all that right now. And, so just some mistakes, and we just really haven't it just doesn't feel like we're into the race season yet. I'm really happy as far as some of our performance and what I see for coming down the road. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah. Barry, when you talk about the fuel issue and the big tank versus small tank and the engine seeming to be burning more fuel, I mean, this might be a dumb question because as much as I drove, I wasn't much of a mechanic, but there's nothing you can do at the track to change your fuel mileage. I mean, you have to kind of jet the motor for the air, right? The air quality?
Yeah, when the air's really good, like it is here in the beginning of the year and then late in the season, and we'll run our bigger tanks in Volusia mainly because we're just putting so much fuel through them. You have to so you don't burn them up. So there's places but then we've been getting into trouble at places where we've never even had issues with running the smaller tanks, and it takes some change over time. I mean, here for the longest time we had 6 or 7 28-gallon tanks and only 2 of the 32-gallon tanks. So, you're only talking a 4 or 5 gallon difference, but we're pretty much getting forced into just going to the, and getting all that stuff switched out. And it's just an inventory thing where you got a bunch of one thing. So now you got to, either, just invest to do the whole deal and have all the cars together that we want to have together, and spares in the trailer, you need 8 tanks or so for this deal. So it's just an investment thing that those newer tanks or the bigger tanks are $2,300-$2,400 a piece complete. So it's just another investment, and just something that we're just going to have to do, and I think probably just run a big tank all the time now.
Barry, what's been the hesitation to just running the big tank everywhere? Is it a weight issue? Is it the way it makes the car handle?
It's not really a weight issue, and we're kind of getting, for a long time, and I know there's guys like Sammy Swindell and so forth. Those guys absolutely despise putting big tanks on their cars, the way it just affects the balance and so forth. And we seem to have a pretty good handle on that. Like I say, more so, it's probably because I have 6 of one type and 2 of the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just a deal where, and it's never been giving us any problems. But back to your question there a little bit ago, another thing that we do kind of in tuning or in this case, like detuning, is we'll just run our motors fatter and richer to kind of detune them a little bit. Well, then they're kind of using more fuel when you don't even have to. But I don't know. It just seems like we're getting these cars more and more where the drivers are just able, the corner speeds are so fast. The competition is just up. It's at a premium all-time high in my eyes. There's just so many, you got a lot of the younger guys and younger kids that are getting in here. And I mean, the whole pace is just increasing all the time. And that just equates to running, more fuel. And, we're going through the corners faster, and these guys are just in the gas a lot more than we used to be.
Oh, it's fascinating how that and one thing yields another, which yields another. Now, you talk about, Barry, the pace of the races, the drivers, and everything like that. One of the other headline stories we're dealing with is the fact that you're camped out in California. Now, I know we've established you went back to Pennsylvania, but the team is camped out in California. You're not racing. As the team manager, as the crew chief, as the trying to get momentum, trying to learn things, what are all the challenges with not racing, especially so far away from everything else?
I think that's the hardest part right now. It's just, it's just like you can't. It's like when we went down to Florida. We went and ran the races, the All-Star races at Ocala, and then jumped right over to Volusia, and you're running a couple All-Star races right in the Alamo. We ran 7 races there, in a little over a week. And you can really start to get your flow going. And then we've only ran 5 or 6 races since then.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, you just don't feel like you're in your normal groove of what we're used to doing, just hair on fire, running up and down the road, going into the next racetrack, racing and getting prepared for the next. I mean, heck, the way it's been out there, we don't even know what racetrack to prepare for you next. We did make a call the way it was looking last week. I told my crew, I was like, let's just get this thing ready for, because I knew I was coming home to do some work in the shop this week. I'm like, we're just going to make a call here, and rather backtracking through it, we're just going to get prepared for Hanford. And we just made a lucky choice there.
I'd say. Barry, you mentioned that you and Shane are on the same page already. You feel, confident in each other. Talk about that transition and what it's been like, only 5 or 6 races into the year.
Well, we're a lot, we're closer in age and just our backgrounds and so forth. And his feedback is really, really good. And what I like about where we sit right now is we were really good in the slick right off the get-go in Florida. Like when we won the All-Star race and we finished second in the first Outlaw race, the tracks were pretty slick those nights. Mm-hmm. And Shane had been struggling on the slick stuff a little bit, and I know it made him really, really happy, and it kind of proved to him that, I'm fine in that. I just have to have the package around me. Now we've went out, and we struggled the one night. We just qualified terrible there at Chico. We weren't bad at Tulare. We didn't qualify. Our biggest problem this year has been qualifying, and that's something we're really working on here right now with our motor program and so forth, and doing some different stuff there. But then we put our heads together and figured out some stuff between Chico and Stockton, and that place was about as rough and about as heavy as you want to see. And to have our car that good in the A-main that night. So it's real refreshing to me to know we kind of got both ends of the spectrum covered here. So, moving forward, I have a lot of confidence in where we're heading.
Barry, you talk about Shane being somewhat closer in age to you. You actually went home to Pennsylvania this past weekend, and you were crewing on a car for somebody who was not nearly your age. I believe your grandson Landon made his quarter midget debut. What was that like, Grandpa?
Well, it's pretty awesome. Those grandsons of mine they're just the joy of my life. So being able to do a couple little things like that with them, and I can't put a whole lot into it just with my schedule and so forth, but I, helped them out a little bit here, kind of getting, things together and rolling. And I don't know a whole lot about the quarter midget world. That's a whole different ball game, but it's still racing and it's still a lot of the same principles apply. But I mean, basically, my biggest saying with the boys and my daughter and so forth there is like, let's just have fun. I know how demanding and how much pressure that we race under, and what our deal's all about all the time. I'm like, this just has to be a fun thing. And I went down there to Susquehanna, their little outback track on Sunday, and just sat there kind of in the bleachers and kind of had a smile on my face all day long. It's kind of fun to do and go to a race and, just approach it like that. But it's really cool.
So how did he do, and how difficult is it to watch your grandson behind the wheel versus just a hired driver?
Well, he's only 6, and he's a little timid with the whole thing now, but they do a really, they kind of, he's in the rookie program, and they do a good job of just bringing those kids along. They had some little training deals the last couple weekends where they took them. They weren't actually in cars or anything. They're just teaching them, explaining things. They actually rode little scooters around, just simulating what they'll be going through on the cars. And then they took them down there. That was their first practice deal there on Sunday. And they put one car out there at a time. Then they brought them out. There was 3 and then 6. And, they talked to them through a receiver and, instruct them a little bit. And so it's just a lot of fun. I don't think we're not at the speeds in those things yet, because they're like in this rookie deal, they're really restricted. I think that little restrictor just looks like the size of a pencil eraser. So it's like when you put a restrictor plate on a cup car or something. And so they're real restricted at this point, but it's kind of just watching all those little young kids down there the other day. It was just a lot of fun.
That is. We've seen the quarter midgets at Daytona. They're coming to Charlotte. The ones running the national tour. And I know that your grandson's in the rookie program, but it is such a great program that USAC has going on there, at least with the national tour and all the quarter midget racing. Barry, it is always a pleasure to chat. We appreciate the time. We wish you the best as we hopefully get back racing along the way. And we wish you continued success.
Okay for this weekend, and we'll be. We just need to get into a good flow of racing here, and hopefully the weather starts cooperating a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We appreciate it. Thanks, Barry.
Okay.
There we
go.
Have
a good day.
You got
Thanks.
it. Barry Jackson. I'm sitting here looking at notes. There's like 8 zillion things I could talk to Barry Jackson about.
I know. And when he started talking about fuel and motors,
I know. And you're all, Oh, the engineer Erin comes out here. Yes.
Yeah.
So great stuff. As Barry said, okay, fingers crossed. Things are looking all right. World of Outlaw, Nos Energy Springs, Hanford on Friday night, Paris on Saturday night. Again, fingers crossed here. You can catch it all on Dirt Vision. ASCS has a lot of regional action. Sprint Car Challenge Tour is out in Placerville. USCS is racing a couple of races. Openers at Atomic. Attica going to try again. So make sure you check your schedules, okay? Because in this springtime, we'll sit here and talk about something, and 20 minutes ago it got canceled and we didn't even know. So make sure you follow along. And when they do race, get out to the racetrack, okay? Pennsylvania's all up and running, scheduled to go this weekend as well. And I want to get out of here. We want to remind you, coming up on Wednesday, April 10th, rain or shine, we're having Sprint Car Day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mother Nature, you. Don't even think anything there. So we'll be set to go. And when all the racing happens this weekend, you can find it all on wingnation.com on our broadcast calendar. Go to the racetrack, but if you can't get to the racetrack, we have all the links to all the pay-per-views there. So you can go to wingnation.com and do that. Now, on Saturday, coming up on Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit on MAV TV, Scruffy joins us. How about that? We'll have Bobby Allen. You can catch that on Saturday morning. Thanks to Barry Jackson for joining us today here on the show.
This has been the Wing Nation Weekend Podcast. The Wing Nation Weekend Podcast is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.